Hello, it is Wednesday, November 16th, 2022 at 8:56 a.m. Eastern Time, USA. This is my video journal. I'm Mitch Miller. I am systematically challenging the United States military to a non-lethal pistol duel or wrestling match. So we'll start with that. We are under the rank of Master Sergeant. If you've achieved the rank of Master Sergeant or its equivalent in any of the branches of the United States military, I challenge you to a pistol duel using non-lethal compressed air paintball gun pistols. Since we do not have the prototypes, we will revert to a wrestling match using scholastic rules. If you win the duel, you will delay me challenging the next rank down in the military by 6 months, and you will receive a piece of my art valued at millions of dollars. If I win the duel, you must find monies in your budget to fund my smart weapons company. The first task of this weapons company is developing non-lethal compressed air paintball gun dueling pistol sets that can be sold to the public. In return, if you cannot find approval for your budget, you must use your own personal monies, some of your own personal money. In return, you will receive a stock certificate giving you partial ownership in this smart weapons company, and or a piece of my art valued at least thousands of dollars. That's all I have to offer at this time. If you ignore or do not accept this challenge, you are first and foremost a coward, and secondly, the blood and death of any military action around the world is on your hands for not validating and justifying this form of modern warfare, a form of warfare that values hand-to-hand combat skills and marksmanship, two skills that are taught to just about every person. Well, I think definitely every person in the United States military, and probably every person in every military around the world. So I did a scouting mission this past weekend to Ohiopyle. I found where we're going to do our duels. We're waiting for the leadership to come to agreement. I proposed a couple of different places to duel. I don't know if I did it on here or not. The one I was really focused on was the halfway point on the Great Allegheny Passage, the bicycle trail. Excuse me, I don't know why I have this sinus issue here this morning, but it's kind of annoying. I wish I would have grabbed a cup of water instead of coffee, but along the bicycle trail that connects Pittsburgh to Washington, D.C., I said let's find the halfway point and duel there. Well, I scoped out a good place that's about a third of the way down. The other one I proposed while I was doing a modcast in my living room was on the roof of Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. I looked at some satellite imagery of that hotel, and it looked like there was a large roof, flat area where we could do duels right there in Washington, D.C. However, Trump sold that hotel, maybe because he didn't want to resolve issues this way, or maybe because he was brought under criticism for lobbyists being in his hotel. Who knows? Anyway, back to the bicycle trail. We're looking at mile marker 70, just below, just south of Ohiopyle. Mile marker 70. There's a bend in the Youghiogheny River, and the bicycle trail leading from walking south from Ohiopyle It's pretty sheer hillside, then the bicycle trail, then another sheer hillside down to the raging Youghiogheny River for about a mile and a half. About 1,000 yards before mile marker 70, there's a bend and it flattens out, and the trail leaves the edge of the water and cuts across this bend in the river on this flat. The hillside on the sheer side is pushed way back, and you go up the bicycle trail, or up off of the bicycle trail about 15 feet, and then there's a flat wooded area there. After about 1,500 yards, it goes back to being sheer hillside and Youghiogheny River. So it's an outcropping that the trail cuts across. That's a flat area. I believe Boffman Rock is up above that, and there's a trail coming down off of that hillside, but mostly it's isolated. So mile marker 70, you go to mile marker 70, you walk straight up the hill towards the wooded hillside area, and we find a flat there. So what we do is we rake off a walkway where we can each do 15 paces back to back. We rig up some lights in the trees. We dig some holes, bury some lock boxes where we can keep our prototype dueling pistols, and where we can have a generator buried down in the ground for both noise purposes and for to hide the generator when we're not using it. These can be push button code locks. Open these things. So we duel at midnight. We post a guard at one end where it's sheer hillside, bicycle trail, sheer hillside down the river, and at the other side of the bend. So where it bottlenecks in on the bicycle trail, we have two guards with radios, stopping people that would be, for some reason, hiking or biking at midnight on a weeknight or whatever night it is. The two parties meet, or they come together. Large parking area at Ohiopyle. I'll get into this in more detail, but we meet at that location, mile marker 70, and at midnight we strike the generator, we strike the lights, the two people pace off. I'm happy to moderate and turn, shoot, and we can do a number of pistol duels, especially with the compressed air pistols. Now there's two ways we can do this, both on this state park. Again, this is on a state park, so we can build this dueling kind of underground facility, and there's two ways that we can do pistol duels. So the two ways we build this, we go through the new governor, Shapiro, of Pennsylvania. We get permission. The CIA, whoever, puts forward a package to say we want to do this on state parkland, and we get permission and we do it. The other way is we do it clandestine. I'm happy to do it. Lots of people built mountain bike trails on federal parklands, on state parklands, up in the woods. They just built it. They dug it. They took shovels. They changed the land, and they built their own little bicycle parks and stuff like that. So we can do this either way. Two ways to duel. Let's get some lingo going. One of my favorite quotes is a Jack Nicholson quote. It's from the movie Batman, the Tim Burton movie Batman. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? So this can be another phrase, term for have you ever pistol dueled. If you say, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight, that means have you ever pistol dueled with compressed air pistols. Have you ever danced with the devil in the blood moonlight means have you ever pistol dueled with actual black powder 50 caliber dueling pistols. Both are meant to be non-lethal, but one is very clearly very dangerous, and you could become mortally wounded in a limb. So for the actual black powder pistols that we can do, since we don't have prototypes, we have Kevlar now. We'll have Kevlar face masks, helmets, Kevlar basically like a catcher's apron that covers all vital areas, including your genitalia. So you could get winged in a limb, but the point is, the rule is that you aim for the center mass of the body, not the head, not the limbs. You aim for center mass. We have a triage tent. Again, we bury another medical aid lockbox, and we set up a triage tent for anyone that becomes injured during these duels, so that hopefully nobody dies and we can stitch them up and fix them up. And again, I'm happy to moderate this. So those are my proposals. Mile marker 70, check it out. The other thing I scouted, I went to Mitch's Fuel and Food in Confluence, PA. We've been going there every year. I never really looked into Confluence, PA, but it's about 11 miles south of Ohiopyle. It's about a third of the way to DC from Pittsburgh, so it's a great location. Confluence, that's where I think we should come up from Confluence 10 miles to mile marker 70. I think we should base our activities out of Confluence, and the main reason is there's an Army Corps of Engineer flood control dam there with a 4-mile lake, and I was looking into it. The dam produces hydroelectricity enough for 8,000 homes. I assume all the homes in Confluence are connected to this electricity system, and all the outlying properties around Confluence, you would want to distribute that electric as close as possible, I would assume. Now again, the concept of why we're doing this along this trail is that you can safely walk from Washington, D.C. without road traffic of cars, the danger of being hit. You can safely walk from Washington, D.C. You don't have to rent a car, you don't have to register a vehicle, you don't have to go through that paperwork. You could march a platoon up from D.C. to these locations and go from there. People from out of the country could check in with their embassy. The embassy could keep an e-bike there, an electric bike, or they could walk. They could get permission from the embassy to come up and do these duels. And that's what I'm saying. I'm challenging the United States military. We can do it there. And I'm hoping to have cooperation from the United States military. But it's time for the intelligence community to move away from just being trained assassins and psychological torture agents that get their intel that way. And trained assassins that are just running around in the shadows killing each other. It's time to move past that. Let's move beyond it. Let's agree to solve our differences through pistol duels. Let's start to resolve some of the past things that our kings and our presidents had people go kill people. Let's start to resolve that. So maybe there's a female intelligence officer out there from some other country whose husband was killed by a United States intelligence officer. If they have that identified, if there's vengeance there, if there's revenge type scenario, let's work it out to where these two intelligence officers face off in a pistol duel. Then they can see who would actually kill the other person. You can see it. I would have been killed, or I would have killed them. Instead of letting it play out on an international stage where they're chasing each other around. And again, this might not happen anymore. This is James Bond stuff. But if it is happening, let's start to resolve it. Or if it did happen through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, let's start to resolve this using pistol duels. Let's have an intelligence community that's truly made up of the most intelligent people in the world, not trained assassins. And let's have an intelligence community that brings us back from the brink of extinction, humans from extinction due to climate crisis. Let's work to change the world into an amazing place and an intelligent place. So that's why that's one aspect as to why I'm proposing this location. You can fly into Pittsburgh and go down to Ohiopyle and walk there if you want. You can fly into DC. We can start working with embassies, consulates, and contacting the Pentagon or whoever you need to contact, or contact me directly to resolve these issues, work these issues out. Maybe there's generals that pissed in the wrong direction at another general around the globe. Let's resolve these issues, and you stand off person to person. You have your duel, and then let's agree to walk away resolved on the issue that either we discussed beforehand or in general. That was our face-off. We know who would have died if we would have played this out to the bitter end. I'm happy to man a post in Confluence. If we could buy a house in Confluence or a property and put a shipping container on there that I can convert into a house, I'll hang out there all next spring, summer, fall, and just wait for people to walk up to the property and say, we're ready to go. Let's do it tonight at midnight. We have our task force that can block off the thing. The other option too is with that property of the Army Corps of Engineers, we can put a shipping container there and charge a fleet of e-bikes off of that hydro dam, and we can access that at any time at the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, ride up the trail on a fleet of e-bikes. That way we don't have to walk 10 miles and get to the location. So looking even further into the future, we can. I have an idea for a platform. Now, I've put a lot of ideas for platforms out there, and those are the ones that I want to collaborate or for someone to hypothetically steal and just produce. I keep a lot up here that I've never written down or put anywhere that are good ideas too, that I'm waiting for the right time to produce till someone finally does say, let's do some stuff. So I have a platform. I propose a Zen 10 marketplace in my book to fight planned obsolescence, but I've got an even better plan up here. It's a platform that we can put to use that can get the military the equipment they need that'll last a very long time, and domestically, same thing. So we can use this to develop smart transformers and test them in Confluence, Pennsylvania, that town. We can start to build a civilian grid that is based off of a sustainable energy. And I have a plan to get every military base of the United States and all of its allies, all of them off of the grid and having their own sustainable electricity grid and communications for that matter. I started to write this plan out on my basement computer, but then it got zapped and fried and shut down. So I've not written this plan out on any computer or anything like that, or by hand or on my typewriter. It's up here. I can write it out if I have access to some kind of word processing device, and if the United States military wants to see it or the United States government wants to see it first, obviously I would allow them, and then spread that to their allies and so on and so forth. Looking even further into the future, we have a, hold on a second here, sorry, my computer went dead at 20 minutes. We have a 4-mile lake, a nice little lake right there in Confluence. Probably why the property values are so expensive. I looked into some properties there. There is a house for sale there for $150,000. It's a trailer, but it's right in Confluence. We could buy property outside of Confluence and put a whole network of shipping containers up to get our prototype shipping containers for the military programs I've proposed in previous writings. But we have that lake there. We can partner with the French company that makes compressed air cars to build our compressed air pontoon boats that I propose in my novel Femme Party. We can have a whole lake where we rent out compressed air pontoon boats. So you could come up from DC, you could ride e-bikes up from DC, you could drive up from DC, you could stay in Confluence on a sustainable electricity grid, and you could ride around on a lake on compressed air, new compressed air technology. You can go to Ohiopyle whitewater raft. It's a beautiful place. It's a good location. It's right near the Maryland border, and I'm happy to man a post there for at least 1 year, then hand it over, and I'll moderate these pistol duels at midnight for any leadership around the globe that wants to resolve their issues this way. Royalty, if I'll go into royalty in another segment, but if there's royalty that would like to justify this form of settling disputes and start to justify me as a person and as a moderator, that would be great. If you want to reach out to me, I would appreciate it. So let's work to resolve these issues. Let's move forward with a new type of intelligence community, one that's straightforward, and just if you're seeing things on satellite imagery, we can write to the government and say, what are you doing here? We're being open and transparent. What are you guys, what are you people building here? What are you doing here? Rather than sneaking around spying in the shadows. That's my proposal, but people seem to like to have their power structures, and with power structures they like to have people assassinated and clandestine activities and all kinds of stuff. My idea of clandestine activity, we dig some pits for some lock boxes on a state park, rake some leaves off to the side that we can walk up and down on, and when we're done we rake the leaves back onto the trail and have some kind of camouflage lights up in the trees. So that's my proposal. I'm happy to do it. If you can buy my paintings or whatever and get me some funding, I'll buy a house in Confluence. I'll do the clandestine, not get permission from the government to do this, and I'll build us a place where we can do this. I just need the manpower to shut the trail down at night, a task force of some sort, or if you bring your own people. So that's my proposal. Mile marker 70, just south of Ohiopyle. Go check it out. And yeah, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? I hope you will. Join me next time.